I am making 5 free transfers in FPL and I feel like I'm taking a huge risk that could make or break my season. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe and let's get right into the video. Now, looking at game week results, it was a weird one. Well, not weird, it was actually awful. It was my worst game week of the season, the first time my game week rank has been outside the top 10 million. And you'd think with 2 crazy differential hauls in Romero and Bowen, I'd actually get quite a good, game week rank. I'd get a green arrow. But when you supply those differential hauls with 8 1-pointers and a 2-pointer, you kind of tend to have a bad game week. And, it was some bad decision making on my part. I benched Cunha when in reality I should not have benched him. Even though he was playing away to the best defence in Europe as a player on the bench, he clearly makes a big impact. And the player I decided to play ahead of him was Jorginho, who got subbed on in the 88th minute. So that one kind of hurt. I was very close to a small red arrow instead of a big red arrow. But I managed to hold my place in the top 30k, so I'm fine. All I can say is I am so grateful I got lucky. Like, despite having the worst game week of my season, I was still on the luckier side of things. I rolled the transfer knowing my team was suboptimal, but I needed 5 free transfers for game week 24. I was ready to take the short-term loss. I just didn't anticipate how bad it would have been. And yeah, once again, thank God for Romero, thank God for Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen took a penalty when he's not been on penalties all season. Romero has now scored for me 2 games in a row. My luck has been fairly good this season. I would say I've made some bad plays. I think I've overall played the season quite well. Despite all of these blanks, I'm still a big believer in a lot of these players. Guys, let's head into my team and how I'm going to be using my 5 free transfers for game week 24. Now, looking at the team here, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each player, analyze whether I'm keeping them or selling them and who I want to replace them with. Now, I have already made 2 of these transfers. The other 3 free transfers I'm definitely going to spend, and I'm 90% sure that I'm going to stick with what my plan is in this video. But make sure you follow me on Twitter/X because I'll post my full team there before the deadline. I'll also probably do it on YouTube as well. I doubt much is going to change, but just in case it does, you guys can stay here on this channel and just make sure you keep up to date with things. Verbruggen in goal, he's not been great. The Brighton defense has been bad, but I'm not wasting a free transfer on a goalkeeper transfer. So Verbruggen is going to stay. He's fine. Yeah, I'm going to use my wild card probably in game week 32. I'll just have to firm his bad scores from now until then. In the defense, Timber has a knock. I'm not too sure, the lengths of this knock. Is it really bad? Is it only minor? I don't know. But he was left out of the squad fully for the midweek game in the Champions League. But it was against an easy team and they'd already secured a first place finish. So I wasn't fully surprised that they were going to rest him as best they could because they want him back ready for the Premier League. Away to Leeds is no walk in the park. There will be a press conference before the game week deadline. So we'll know more on Timber then. And I know a lot of people own Timber, so it will be good to wait for more information. Whether he is out for a long while or not, I'm going to keep him in my team and I'm just going to have to play Esteve on the bench in case Timber isn't ready, which isn't the worst. Esteve normally gets DEFCONs and there's always a very small chance for a clean sheet, so he could get a 3 or 4 pointer, maybe 10 points if I'm very lucky. Gabriel is definitely staying in my team, no doubt about it, no injuries there, and he is set and forget for the rest of the season. He has so many avenues to go down to get points, and Arsenal may have a double game week coming up soon, which is why I'm also keeping Timber. If it turns out Timber is gone long term, then I will sell him next game week or the game week after, but for now, once again, he's staying in my team, along with Gabriel, holding that double Arsenal defence. Then, we are making the first transfer of the game week. So we are going to sell Romero despite how well he's done for me these last couple game weeks. The good fixtures are over, and fair enough. You don't really need to have a good fixture as a centre-back to score a headed goal. You can do that in any game. But I don't want him because he's got no clean sheet potential anymore. I bought him for the last 4 game weeks because he had clean sheet potential. He didn't get a single clean sheet, but I had him for the right ideas, I had him for the right reasons. I just got points for the wrong reasons, the lucky reasons. I'm going to bring in Chalobah instead. This one is an absolute no-brainer. I've not made it yet because I'm in no rush. Chelsea just finished playing in the midweek. I'm recording this after the Champions League games. And he came on as a sub. He was rested, which is nice. Even though he didn't start, it's not a worry as an owner or if you're looking to buy him. He is Chelsea's starting centre-back. I've got no doubt about it. Through this busy schedule, your defenders just need to get some rest. So there we go. That's transfer 1 out of 5 made in the defence. Then we go into the midfield. Now, this is where the 2 transfers I've already made come in. We're going to start with those. Phil Foden left my team a few days ago. I got rid of him, and you guys already know who I brought in for him. It was Bruno Fernandes, the top priority for FPL right now for me. He is such a good FPL asset, and I'm a Man United fan, so I've got to back my captain like that. But I can't afford it. Plain and simple, I need to downgrade someone. Jorginho, he's been getting on my nerves recently, especially last game week, blocking my Cunha 9-pointer. I'm going to sell him and downgrade him to Harrison Reed. 4.3 million bench fodder. He's not going to be playing in my team at all. He's just there to save me some money so I can afford these transfers. Now, it's a bit of overkill. I do have a bit left in the bank after this transfer, but I'm going to need to do some more money saving, and you guys will see soon enough what I'm going to do. So that uses 2 transfers, but it really only changes 1 player in my starting 11. I've pretty much gone from, who was it again? That's it. I've gone from Foden to Bruno Fernandes with 2 free transfers, which is kind of annoying. Luckily, I had 5 free transfers, so it doesn't put me off course too much. Declan Rice is staying in the team. Despite his few blanks recently, I still believe in him. I still believe he's got so many avenues to go down to get points. He's been very close to assists and defcons in the last few weeks. Unlucky not to get any points. I'm happy to keep him through any fixture because, like I said, you know, set pieces, defcons, he can score from range. He can get points in almost any fixture. As for Cunha, I'm not going to lie, right? Dorgu got injured for 10 weeks. That's terrible, especially as a Man United fan. I don't like it. You don't want to see anyone getting hurt. But it does make my decisions easier for FPL. Okay, I'm not saying it was a good thing, just making that clear. But it does make my decisions a little easier because now I'm pretty sure Cunha is nailed as that left winger. I'm pretty sure he was, you know, fairly reliable for minutes anyway. I mean, he was benched the last 2 games, but he got a goal and an assist. So I wasn't too worried about him being benched. You know, he was very close to getting 2 assists when he came on as a sub against Man City. And obviously he scored coming on as a sub against Arsenal. So I was never worried. It's just, you know, you want a player who's starting. Now I do believe he will be starting, especially with Dorgu out. Even if he doesn't know, he's going to make great impact as a sub, as he's already shown he can do that. Okay, so at this point, I haven't worked it out. I've got maybe $1 million in the bank at most. Like, I've upgraded Romero, it's cost me some money, upgraded Foden, and all I've done is downgrade Jorginho to Reed. Here's the thing, right? Chelsea just played in the midweek. Sure, Enzo Fernandez scored a penalty. With the Chelsea fixture on, we all know how good it is. Surely I want to bring in a Chelsea player, and I do. But here's the thing. Enzo Fernandez, when Cole Palmer isn't playing, is probably the best FPL asset in the game. Like, you're on penalties, you're playing as a cam, and you're only 6.5 million. It's great. But when Palmer's back, Enzo plays as a CDM without penalties. And I'm not being funny, no matter how good that fixture run is, if you're a CDM with no set pieces, no penalties, you're not really that good of an FPL asset. And I mean that with all due respect. With this fixture run, he's probably a good player to own. Not amazing, not bad, just an alright player to own. But Cole Palmer, right, fair enough, he didn't start in the Champions League game, but I'm a huge fan of that. I'm glad he got rested. He's shown he can play. He came on and got 2 assists. Cole Palmer is probably the only Chelsea attacker we can say is nailed for these next 4 really easy fixtures, providing he has no more injury problems, which I hope he doesn't. Yes, Enzo Fernandez is nailed as well, but remember I said Cole Palmer is the only Chelsea attacker who's nailed. Enzo Fernandez as a CDM is not a nailed attacker. And once again, that's not a diss to Enzo Fernandez. For how much he's worth and his fixture run, he's a decent player to own, but he's not amazing. Cole Palmer is where it's at in the midfield, and I'm taking a huge risk. It may not pay off because once again, he's been struggling with a bit of an injury, but he is back. While he's not been on the best form, Wirtz, as you remember, was on terrible form. He had a good fixture run. Now he's acting like one of the best players in the Premier League because we know how much talent he's got. I think it's going to be a very similar situation for Cole Palmer. And like I said, I am taking a risk. Like, I could be wrong, but we know how good Cole Palmer is with easy fixtures, you know, with all these set pieces, with these penalties. I think he's a great player to own and a good captaincy option in some game weeks. So he is the player I'm bringing into my midfield, and I'm selling Sharda for him. Now, I'm a few million down, right? To afford this Cole Palmer transfer, I'm down some money. Luckily, there is a hidden gem in FPL. Thanks to Semenyo leaving Bournemouth, there is a 4.5 million starting striker playing for a decent attack in Bournemouth, and that is Kruppi Jr. You already know who it is. We need to sell Ekatike to afford this. I wouldn't sell Bowen anyway because Ekatike is definitely a much worse option than Bowen. Rotation risk and has some bad fixtures. Kruppi Jr., well, he's not amazing, let's be honest, right? He's only 4.5 million. You can't expect a lot, but he is a very good value FPL asset. You can't name another player that cheap who's starting week in, week out and has goal scoring potential. I definitely would prefer Evan Nilsson, but I don't know where I'm going to find an extra 3 million. I just don't, you know, unless FPL becomes pay to win, I'm stuck with Kruppi Jr. Now, as you see my team right now, this is how it looks. This is the option I'm going to go with. The other alternative I was going to go for, instead of Palmer plus Kruppi Jr., originally I was going to go with Evan Nilsson plus Morgan Rogers. That was the plan, or Enzo if Palmer stayed injured for a little while longer. But it's looking like he's not, so I don't like Enzo as an option. Choosing between Evan Nilsson and Rodgers and Creepy plus Palmer, I like the Creepy Jr. plus Palmer option more because Evan Nilsson definitely better than Creepy Jr. But Creepy Jr. could come away from these next few game weeks with equaling the amount of points Evan Nilsson gets. You know, maybe scoring a goal, maybe they're both blank. Whereas Palmer versus Rodgers, there's a clear-cut winner here. Look at the Chelsea fixtures. We know how good Palmer is. He's got the pedigree. So this is the option I'm going with. If it turns out Palmer does become a rotation risk and I'm not so confident he's going to start next game week, then I will go back to this Rodgers and Evan Nilsson route. But I really don't see myself going this way. I'm leaning towards the Palmer and Creepy Jr. way, but I just need to make sure Palmer is reliable for minutes. And I think he will be. You know, coming on as a sub in the midweek, he was rested. He got 2 assists. I see him starting these next few games. That is all my 5 free transfers used. Haaland survives in my team despite being a waste of money at the moment, and so does Jarrod Bowen. Despite having a tough fixture and bringing in the defender he's playing against, it doesn't hurt to cover both paths, you know. Either I get a Bowen goal involvement, hopefully, or a Chalobah clean sheet. It may happen that West Ham win 1-0 and Bowen's not involved, don't get me wrong. I'm just hoping it doesn't come to that. So this is my team with 5 free transfers made. Definitely the riskier option I'm going with, but I believe in Palmer. I think a player like Palmer as a differential is a secret weapon in FPL, and I think with a lot of people going with the likes of Enzo and João Pedro, who I do like, João Pedro is a bit of a rotation risk, and he played, I think, nearly the full 90 in the midweek. That doesn't bode well for him. He scored a brace, but it still doesn't bode well for him because with only 2 days rest, less than 72 hours between the Napoli game and the West Ham game, he's not going to have enough time to travel back to the UK, get a good rest, then play on the Saturday. I don't think he's going to start. Once again, I am not the Chelsea manager. I don't know this. This is just my opinion, so don't take it literally. Looking into the future plans now, normally I like to set my team up and have to not make transfers for a while, then I can use mini wildcards like I am now in game week 24. But with this, there's still big fixture swings coming up. In game week 25, I can definitely roll the transfer, like the team's going to be set up fine. I've just used 5 free transfers. I've got players with good fixtures. It looks all right. And in game week 26, it's sort of the same thing. My team looks fine. I don't desperately need to make any changes, but I want to bring in Munoz, and the only player I can really sell for him is Timber. And I really like Timber. I really like the Arsenal defence. I've been bigging it up more than anyone this season. But Munoz, looking at his fixtures, home to Burnley, then home to Wolves, there's no way I can ignore him because I believe he, in these 2 game weeks, could get a big monster hauls, double digits in both game weeks possibly. Not guaranteed, but we know how good Munoz is. And despite Crystal Palace being on bad form, Sarr and Munoz are both back. And I believe they could find themselves on good form very soon. And home to Burnley and home to Wolves is definitely the fixtures you will find form on. Saying bye to Timber's not ideal. He could get a goal involvement. He could get a couple clean sheets. But I believe Munoz is better to own up until our wildcard in around game week 32. Well, that's the rough plan to wildcard. I could get in another Crystal Palace player, but there's no one that, you know, really screams out to me as good to own. And a lot of my attackers look good already. Going into game week 27, I'll still have a couple free transfers. They'll have 2 to use. And Bowen has a good fixture. I don't need to sell him home to Bournemouth, but it's very scary to go without Thiago in a fixture run like this. I may keep Bowen, but with how good Thiago is, playing home to Brighton could be a monster haul because the fixtures that follow are also really good. I don't own Thiago right now because he has 3 really tough games, and while he's been amazing this season, I don't think he's good to own through these next 3 games. I think Brentford probably only come away from these next 3 games with 1 or 2 goals, and what's to say Thiago is going to be involved in any of them. So in game week 27, I want to go to Thiago, but if Bowen looks good, I will hold him for 1 more game week. But let's just say in this plan, I'm going to Thiago. Then going into game week 28, I won't plan any further than this because I feel like it's a bit useless. But Liverpool come onto a really good fixture run and Chelsea come onto an awful fixture run. So I'm kind of set up perfectly to just go from Palmer down to someone like Florian Wirtz because he looks really good when he has a really good fixture run and Liverpool look to be on much better form. Then Chalobah to a Liverpool defender like Van Dijk or Konate, whichever one I prefer at the time, whichever one's getting more defcons, whichever one's a higher goal threat, whichever one's actually more reliable for minutes. And there's not much point thinking any further ahead in this team because booking in transfers is bad enough itself. The future plans I've just planned out are probably quite inaccurate and not going to happen, but it's good to have a rough plan in place because if you don't, then you're just making random transfers without thinking ahead. And that's what you want to be doing if you want to get the best result in FPL. Just look at me. Last game week I had a game week rank of 10 million. Clearly I'm doing something right. Anyway guys, that is my team selection for game week 24. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What would you do differently? What do you think of my planned transfers? I'd love to hear it down below. If you did make it this far, you are greatly appreciated, and I will see you all in the next video.